Hey guys, several years ago I read an article written by this guy who was just kind of flummoxed by all of the kids who were really struggling with being bullied. And the whole premise of his article was something along the lines of, we weren't this weak when we were kids. Why are our kids so fragile? Why are they so weak? Why are they struggling so much with bullies? When we went to school, kids were mean to us too, and we just sort of punched them in the nose and that was the end of it. Why are our kids struggling so much? And I actually don't remember how he ended his article. I think he was actually pretty sympathetic to the whole situation. But what answered this article for me was many years later, I read or looked at a video by Neufeld, and he was talking about a concept that is not discussed very much, where whoever you have as your center creates a feeling of protection and power that just covers you and acts like armor with everybody that you interact with. So here's how this works. Everybody has a center, right? Everybody has something that is at the center of their lives, and that everything rotates around the center. So a really good example of that is going to be the sun. The sun is holding everything in its gravitational well, and everything just moves around that sun, and it doesn't just fly off into outer space and do who knows what and get lost on whatever it's trying to do. It's able to stay grounded and focus on the most important thing, which is being right around the sun. The sun also provides a lot of other things like light. Everything grows from light, and light also helps us see things clearly so we can see what's going on. We're not wandering around in the dark all the time. So the sun as our center is really, really important. And as human beings, every one of us has a center. And it's really, really important to us. It provides this gravity well where we have a sense of safety and security, and also a sense of we're going in the right direction, we're accomplishing the right things, and our center also helps us to see things clearly and not just wander off and do whatever might occur to us at any given moment. So our center is whoever or whatever we spend the most time with. And this is true for us as adults, and it's true for teenagers, and it's true for little kids. Whoever we spend the most time with becomes our center. And one of the characteristics of that center is that whatever comes from the mouth of that center is received as absolute truth by the person listening to it. So if you are the center of your child's life and you say, "You're amazing and I love you," they don't think about it. They don't, weigh that up against what everybody else says and, "Oh, is that really true?" They just accept it as absolute doctrinal truth in their life. This is foundational. What you say is. It's just true. And so as a parent, when you are the center of your child's life, you are able to really provide this protection that protects them, and it provides this armor against all the things that are trying to attack them. Now, the thing that we center around is whatever we are around most of the time. So a lot of kids are around something other than their parents for most of their day. And therefore, because we must have a center, we cannot just lose the sun out of our life. We will scramble and find another center. We must have a center because that's such a human need. If the parent is not there providing that center, then somebody else is going to become that center. And whoever you're spending the most time with will become that center. So what we have in America is this epidemic of kids who are spending most of their time with other kids, which means they are peer-centered. Their center, their middle, their core that is determining what they're focused on and how they see things and what they think is important and how they're able to grow, all of those things are coming from their peers. And their peers, whether they be just amazing young men and women or boys and girls or real little twerps, the fact is whatever they say goes. That once they're that center, what they declare is a truth that just shoots a shaft right through our kids. So if they say, "Wow, you're dumb," not even trying to be mean, just because they're immature and not capable of expressing themselves in a better way, that's going to shoot right through our child because they will accept that as truth. They won't weigh it up against anything else. They won't consider it. They won't say, is that actually accurate? They will accept it as truth. And that is really, really damaging for our kids. And so, in answer to this guy who wrote this article, why are our kids so fragile? Well, they're fragile because their center, their source of truth, their source of self is other kids who don't care about them very much, who don't have the emotional maturity to put that armor around their kids. Now, if we're the center for our kids, this is what we can what we can get out of it, what are some of the natural consequences of being that center for our kids is that they will have more confidence. Their ability to just be themselves and try things and go out there and, you know, speak up and have an idea and lead a group and whatever they're doing, their confidence will be so much higher when they have their parents as their center, because they've just got that armor around them and they're very protected, and they're not worried if other people are like, well, that's a dumb idea. You know, they're not going to love that. You know, they're not going to say, oh, I didn't even hear that because my parents are my center. They're going to hear it and they won't love it. But the fact is, they will be able to brush it off. It will just clink off of that armor, because they will say, well, nah, you know, that's not true, because my center thinks that I'm an amazing person. And I feel like I probably need to mention here, it's not so much that we're constantly telling our kids, wow, you're amazing and you're better than anybody out there. I mean, that's, ooh, don't do that. That's not super healthy. But it's that we believe in them and that we truly do love them, and we create this gravity well that they're able to really count on, and also a lot of perspective that they'll be able to come to us when things are really hard and they're going through things that are huge. And if their peers are their center, they'll talk to their peers and their peers are like, oh, that's huge in our life, and it gets blown all out of proportion, whereas they come to us as their center and we're able to say, yeah, that's a part of life at your age. That will blow over. That will not last. That's not something you need to worry about. And that perspective is so powerful in helping them to have confidence and say, oh, okay, I didn't know that this wasn't a big deal. It feels like a huge deal. But if you, who've lived longer than me and are clearly important to me, and I'm revolving around you, then I will have the confidence to move on, even though it seems really big. And the second thing that this armor gives our kids is a sense of self-esteem, like a really strong sense of self-esteem, that they're able to, you know, maybe act on a stage or perform or create anything and put themselves out there and not worry too much, because even if people don't like it very much, their self-esteem will remain intact. And a lot of kids aren't willing to try new things because their peers are their center, and all those shafts that are sent their way just by thoughtless or even really mean kids, they're not able to withstand that when they are accepting all of that nastiness as truth. They can't get out there and try new things because it's just so damaging to them. Whereas if their parents are their center, if their family is their center, then they're able to say, I sculpted this, or I wrote this poem, or I made this piano piece, whatever sort of creativity that they are bringing, they're able to try more things and create more things because they're coming from a much safer place that just protects them from people who don't necessarily like their creations. So that self-esteem is really important. Another thing that this armor that we give our kids allows them to have is the ability to grow and make mistakes comfortably, right? Because everybody's going to grow and everybody's going to make mistakes, but not everybody does it comfortably. There are a lot of people who feel like every mistake is an embarrassment and I'm so ashamed that I made a mistake. And we want our kids to be able to go out and you know, let things splat, let things mess up and say, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And have that attitude of, I can grow and I can learn and I can make mistakes as a part of the process of growing. And I'm not even worried about making mistakes because it's not a big deal. And people who are around me and the people that are most important to me, my center, are comfortable with me making mistakes as I go forward, then I'm better able to do that. I'm better able to just get out there and try things and make messes and take chances and make mistakes. And it's okay, and you can figure it out. So that's one of the great things, is that we actually allow them to mature through their messiness when we are their center. Whereas if their teens are their center or other peers are their center, they can't progress because they're all sort of stuck together and they're not feeling comfortable enough to try to make mistakes that will allow them to progress. So they just stagnate in this same level. Whereas if you are their center, they'll be rising, and all the time trying new things that enable them to mature out of the messiness that is sort of a part of growing up. And the last thing that us being the center for our kids really provides is this bully proofing. This sense that there are bullies out there. There are nasty kids. There have always been nasty kids in public schools, or I mean anywhere. It doesn't even have to be public schools. It's happened in homeschool environments too. But when parents are the center for their kids, then other people can be nasty to them and not have the impact that it would if those people were their center, right? Because they're not accepting those things as absolute truths in their life. They're saying, wow, that hurt and is that true? You know, they'll weigh that. They'll start saying, do I believe that? Is that accurate? But they're going to go home and weigh it against what you are telling them about themselves. And you have more weight and you have more power because you are their center. So in this way, it really creates a bully-proofed child. Not that they like being treated badly, not that it doesn't hurt. I mean, it hurts, it's no fun, but it's not shattering and it's not debilitating because they're able to constantly come back to this place where they are in a protected place. And I feel like it's important to understand that protecting them does not mean that you're all the time keeping them away from dangerous situations or even all the time being with them. Like, you need to be with them the majority of the time as they're growing up, but then as they become teenagers and they get a little older, they can carry that armor, that protective shield with them as they go out into the world. And that's just a part of being mature, that as you get older, you're able to hold on to that protection that your parents are providing you and move out away from them physically and still maintain that connection. And of course they come back, you know, they're not living with somebody else. They're still going to be living with you and eating meals with you and having conversations with you, but they can spend more time out of the home and still have that protection covering them as they get older. So I'm not saying, you know, lock your kids in a room forever. I'm just saying, as little kids, you should be spending the majority of your hours with your child so that enables you to be the center. And then as your kids get older, then make sure that you're constantly nurturing that relationship so that it allows them to go out into the world and still maintain that protection that comes from you being at their center. And at some point, they're going to pick another center. They're going to, some people are self-centered, and some people are God-centered, and some people are, I don't know, money-centered. There are a lot of things that you can have as your center, and your kids are going to choose what they want to have as their center as they grow older. And of course, you want to influence it so that they choose to be the kind of center you want them to have. But the point is, you're really, really, really important as their parent in helping them while they're a child in their home. But the goal is not to always be their center. When they become an adult for themselves, you don't want to be their center. You want them to have something else as their center so that they can move out and go on their own and have their own relationships and become the center for their kids. So there needs to be a growing out of this, but you know, we're sending our kids out into the world way before they're ready to grow out of this. They don't have the ability to center on anything else when we're putting them out there. And so we need to keep them safe and keep them centered on us until they're able to be for themselves and center on something else besides us that is healthy and good. I hope this helps. If you want to learn more about this, check out Gordon Neufeld's videos. He's just so fascinating in all of the benefits that are available to our kids when we are not only their center, but then we really nurture the relationship with them in the little things that we do every day. You are doing huge and important things as a mom and as a dad. It is so impressive what you have accomplished just in trying to be the best that you can be. That is really, really powerful, and you're doing a much better job than you think you are. Keep it up, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.